It was the better console, and it still lost. A controller rests in someone's hands, heavier than it should be, covered in buttons that promise precision. A keypad, side buttons, overlays you slide in depending on the game. On the screen, the graphics are sharper, more detailed, more ambitious than anything else in the room, and yet, something feels off, not broken, just harder. This is the story of Intellivision, and the moment the gaming industry proved a brutal truth. Being better doesn't mean winning. This is the series where we break down the deals, decisions, and power shifts that built and destroyed billion-dollar empires. In the late 1970s, gaming was still simple. The Atari 2600 had already established the market. It wasn't perfect, but it was everywhere. Easy to understand, easy to play, and backed by a growing library of games that anyone could pick up in seconds. It didn't try to be complex, it tried to be fun. That distinction mattered more than it seemed. Then came Intellivision, and on paper, it was better. Stronger hardware, more detailed graphics, more ambitious game design. It wasn't trying to copy Atari, it was trying to surpass it, and in many ways it did. Sports games looked more realistic. Characters had more depth. The system pushed beyond the simple blocks and shapes that defined early gaming. It felt like the next step. And that's exactly what made it dangerous, because Intellivision wasn't just offering a better console, it was offering a more complicated one. The controller alone told the story. Instead of a single joystick and one button, Intellivision introduced a disc controller with a numeric keypad and interchangeable overlays. Each game could redefine the controls entirely. More options, more flexibility, more friction. This is where the shift begins. Because while Intellivision was trying to improve the experience, Atari was simplifying it. Pick up the joystick, press one button, play. No instructions needed, no learning curve, no hesitation. This is the core conflict at the center of the story. Better hardware versus easier access. And in entertainment, access often wins. At first, the competition looked close. Intellivision gained traction. Its marketing leaned heavily into comparisons, even showing side-by-side visuals that made Atari look outdated. The message was clear: we are better. And technically, they were right. But the market wasn't evaluating technical superiority. It was evaluating experience. This is where everything starts to tilt, because most people buying a console weren't engineers. They were families, kids, casual players, people who didn't care how advanced the system was. They cared how quickly they could enjoy it. And Intellivision asked more from them. More learning, more adjustment, more effort before the reward. Atari asked less, and that difference scaled. This is where the ecosystem begins to matter. Atari didn't just have hardware, it had momentum, more games, more developers, more recognition. It became the default, the system people expected, the one their friends already had, the one stores prioritized. And defaults are powerful, because once something becomes the obvious choice, it doesn't need to be the best, it just needs to be good enough. This is the moment Intellivision starts losing ground. Not because it failed, but because it didn't align with what the market actually valued. This wasn't a technology problem, it was a positioning problem. Intellivision built for what gaming could become. Atari built for what gaming already was. And timing matters, because if you arrive too early with something more advanced, you don't just compete with existing products, you compete with existing behavior. And behavior is harder to change than technology. This is where the gap widens. Developers follow the larger audience. Retailers push the more familiar system. Consumers choose what feels easier. And over time, the better console becomes the smaller one. This is the part that's uncomfortable, because Intellivision didn't lose because it was worse. It lost because it misunderstood what better meant. Better doesn't always mean more advanced. Sometimes it means more accessible. This is the insight that reshapes the story. Because the gaming industry didn't reward complexity. It rewarded simplicity that could scale. And once that principle takes hold, it repeats. Again and again. This is where the ripple effects begin. Later generations of gaming would follow the same pattern. Systems that were technically superior would struggle against those that were easier to adopt, easier to develop for, easier to build ecosystems around. Because hardware alone doesn't win. Systems do. This is the main idea at the center of Intellivision's story. It proved that being better is not enough. You have to be better in the way the market understands, and the market rarely rewards potential. It rewards experience, the kind that feels immediate, effortless, obvious. This is why Intellivision still matters, not as a failure, but as a signal that the rules of competition are not always what they seem, that technical superiority can lose to simplicity, that advanced systems can be outpaced by accessible ones, and that winning has less to do with what you build and more to do with how people use it. Because in the end, Intellivision didn't lose to a worse console, it lost to a better fit. And if that sounds familiar, it should, because this pattern keeps repeating, from gaming to smartphones to platforms. The best product doesn't always win, the one people adopt does, and that's a very different game.